Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Natasha, the Unconventional Aussie, and today this video is going to be part 2 of my journey to Islam. If you haven't seen part 1 of this journey, then I would really recommend you going back and watching that first, because I will mention things in this video that might not necessarily make sense if you haven't seen that first part. So if you haven't seen it, I will see you back here soon. If you have seen it, let's get started on part 2. So where we left off in the last video was where I was having a really big internal conflict because my husband posed a question to me, and that question was, could I just forget about everything that I had learned and everything that I had read and carry on with life as I knew it? And obviously the answer was no, but I needed to kind of think about why I wasn't committing to Islam, the real reasons, be honest with myself and figure out why I wasn't making that commitment. So I went away and I pondered on this, and it was kind of during that time that I realized the main reasons I wasn't accepting Islam was because I was worried about how life as I knew it now would change, such as wearing the hijab, dressing modestly, simple things about not being able to wear nail polish, obviously because of cleanliness, and when we pray, little things like that that I would do on an everyday basis that I would have to give up. And then it goes on to, I was worried about how it might affect my friends and my family's relationships with me, and also how society would see me eventually if I do start wearing the hijab, inshallah. Then how would they see me? Because obviously we know that Islam does have a negative stigma to it, and I will be associated with that. So how will I deal with that, being who I am and being that I do care a lot about what people think of me? So I had these thoughts, these were my concerns. A few days had passed and I went back to Osman and I shared these with him. And he was really supportive of me on these, and he was totally understanding and was like, well, yeah, your life will change, but it is a progressive change. It doesn't have to happen overnight. I'm not going to have to, I accept Islam tomorrow. I'm not expected to wear her hijab straight away. I'm not expected to drop everything and just expect to be a perfect Muslim straight away. That's not expected of me. So that was really comforting to hear. And I didn't just hear it from him, I heard it from a number of people who are practicing Muslims, and they all said the same thing, it is a very personal journey and everything comes in its own time. You don't have to just do everything all at once because I will overwhelm myself. And that, like I said, it was really comforting to hear from multiple people. And then in regards to the other things about, evidently, I'm caring about what other people think of me. And at this point in time, I think it's important to mention that we had a really impactful bereavement in the family at around this time, and it really hit hard. It hit us hard. And this kind of led to Osman posing to me another question. And that question was, if I was given 6 months to live, would I continue on life as I am now, caring what people think? Or would I accept Islam because that's what I believed and be the best Muslim that I could be? And straight away I was like, well, no, I would accept it. I wouldn't care what people think. I would accept Islam and be the best Muslim that I could be, because I would want to earn my place in heaven. And that was really crucial for me, because I clearly believed in paradise and I clearly believed in hell, and I knew that I would want to be in paradise or heaven. And then obviously I start to think about, okay, so if that's what I believe, then I'm starting to look a bit deeper into my beliefs. And I was really believing that we are here for a purpose, and that purpose is to earn our place in the hereafter. This life is very temporary, and we need to do everything that we can in this life to be the best people that we can be, to earn our place in heaven. And that at that point, I was starting to get really scared, and I was starting to feel really sad for not only the person that we just lost because they weren't Muslim, but also for my family and friends who aren't Muslim. And I'm thinking, okay, well, what's going to happen to them now? Like, and that was a really crucial a point for me, because I was already thinking and feeling scared for them. So I was obviously really believing. In my heart, I was really believing. And this belief and these feelings just got stronger. And obviously, when I'm saying, okay, so we're here for a purpose, and that along with that purpose, there should be clear instructions and clear guidance for us to then live this life to earn our place in the hereafter. And those instructions and guidance should make sense to me and should speak to me. And for me, that was the Quran. And it really spoke to me, and it sat well with me. And I will do a separate video, inshallah, on why I feel like the Quran spoke to me a bit more than what the Bible did. And I could talk about that for ages. So I will do a separate video on that, inshallah. And yeah, so I was believing in these things, and that just overcame my feelings of caring what other people thought of me. It just got to a point where I still care what people think. Don't get me wrong. I still worry about what people think. I think I always will. But my faith and what I really cared about was overtaking that. And I really started to feel that. So now I needed to kind of tackle the concern that I had with how would it affect my family and friends. And I just needed to kind of dive in deep with that. So up until this point, as I mentioned in my first video, I started speaking to people and seeking validation from people. But now, because my thoughts had changed and my feelings had grown towards Islam and my faith had grown, I needed to start talking to them a bit more bluntly, that this is going to be something that I'm accepting. I am going to be accepting Islam. And I just needed to ease them into that without just going from speaking about it and saying, oh yeah, it might be something for me, but at the moment, I'm just supporting Osman, to then, next time I speak to them being like, oh, by the way, like, I'm a Muslim. It's like, well, no, like I needed to ease them into it. So that's what I did. So I just started speaking to them. So I started with my sister, and she's really easy to talk to. She's quite open-minded. She's done a lot of traveling through the Navy. So she was kind of my first point of call, because it was a good practice run, essentially. So I spoke to her, and she was pretty supportive. She just kind of said to me, and I quote, like, you could believe in blue aliens for all she cared, as long as I was happy and as long as I was doing this for me. She was a bit concerned about the timing of it, because during this time we had obviously had that bereavement. We sold our house and moved. We had our second child. We lost our family pet. It got hit by a car. What else? Something else. Two other big things happened during this time. And so there was a lot going on. And so she was just a little bit concerned that it was just all too much too quickly. But she was pretty supportive. It does turn out that when I actually did accept my Shahada, accept Islam and take my Shahada, she wasn't as supportive as what she thought she was going to be. But I will do a separate, a next video on that. I did think that this was going to be 2 parts, this video of my journey, but it will have to be 3 parts. So there will be another part coming out after this, where I'll talk about the reactions of my family and friends after I take the Shahada. But yeah, so she seemed pretty supportive and was easy to talk to. I then approached my dad and my stepmom, and they're really chilled out. They're really easy to talk to, and based on the conversations I'd had up until this point, it was really funny, because they actually said to me in the conversation, they were like, so, how's your reading going? How's Oz going? Based on everything you've been reading, do you think you'll be reverting to Islam? And I was just so shocked. I was just like, yeah, probably, like I was just so taken back for it that they had really been listening to what I'd been saying to them and paying attention. And they'd obviously been seeing how happy I was and just how content I was becoming. And they just like flat out asked me if I would be, based on those conversations. And that was really special and that was really warming for me. So that was an easy conversation. And then I spoke to my mum and my stepdad, who I predominantly grew up with. Now, up until this point, I was being very gentle with them. So they obviously knew that Osman was practicing again. They knew that I was reading and that I was supporting Osman in that. And they knew that, you know, I was enjoying what I was learning. But although they were listening, I think they were being blissfully ignorant in that they were pretending. I think they could see that my heart was moving towards Islam, but they were sort of pretending like they weren't seeing it, if that makes sense. And so now I needed to start being a bit more clear and a bit more obvious with them. So I did in this next conversation. I can't remember exactly what I said, but it was a bit more obvious. I was a bit more forthcoming with my feelings towards Islam and, you know, how it was really speaking to me and how it made a lot of sense to me in comparison to what I learnt at church and in school. And my mum was just kind of like, well, you know, that's really great that you're supporting Osman and that you're learning all of these things to support Osman, but make sure you stick to your faith. Make sure you stick to your religion and what you grew up with. Don't be swayed. Don't be brainwashed. You know, don't let it overcome you because you've got your beliefs. You can have different beliefs to Osman, that you don't have to change yours to be the same as him. And she was very, very trying to be very persuasive with that. And I just remember saying to her, well, it's not like I've been I wouldn't say that I'm a religious person, Mum. Like I haven't exactly had my faith up until these conversations that we've been having. I haven't been to church in a long time. And then she would go, oh, but you know, when I visited Australia, you know, we went to Christmas Mass and she really started digging for things. And I was like, no, Mum, like, you know, I can appreciate what you're saying, but it's just, you know, it's just not right. And, you know, I was being so patient with her because I know that it would have been so hard for her to hear. But again, she remained in that blissfully ignorant phase in her mind where she knew exactly what was going on and she knew exactly what was to come. But she just kind of, I think what she was thinking was if she just ignored it, if she just pretended, then it'd be fine, you know. And so the conversations after that, again, you know, I was doing my best to ease her into the idea of me accepting Islam, but she was just really resistant. And then obviously her reaction to when I took my Shahada is going to be in that third video that I mentioned previously. So there will be that part 3, it will be in there. And that was kind of where all this emotion exploded out of her. So definitely keep an eye out for that video. But yeah, so I'd now kind of covered my family, and then I spoke to a couple of friends, and again they were really supportive. They had the same concerns as my sister. They were worried about timing with everything that had been going on in my life, and they were just concerned that I was doing this for Osman and not for me. But over the previous conversations we had, and you know, recent conversations that we'd had, they started to see that I did have a little bit of knowledge, and the knowledge that I had was coming from my own research, and it was coming from me. It wasn't coming from Osman or Osman's family. It was purely, this was all down to me and my decision, and there was not any coercion or anything like that. It was 100% my decision. And once they knew that, they were like, okay, we support you. Like, you're still you at the end of the day, which is like really, really important and was so nice to hear. And I remember coming home from seeing them and just like telling Oz, I couldn't wait I had to call him, and I called him and I told him how happy it made me feel that the most important people and my support network, because obviously my family is in Australia still. So my big support network here is my friends, and they were really supportive of this up and coming change, and that meant so much to me. So I think it was, so these kind of conversations were happening at like over like the beginning of the week. So like Monday to Thursday, I think it was. And then, no, it was Monday to Wednesday. And then on the Friday, I was like, yeah. Like, I just kind of woke up and I just accepted. I was like, yeah, I'm going to take my Shahada. Like, this is it. Like, I feel good about it. I need to, like, just do it. And then it was obviously, so that was like the Friday, and then it was the weekend. So I tried to call up Regent's Park Mosque on the Saturday. I think Osman was at work. So I just wanted to call up and I just wanted to have a chat with Anna Mom and just see kind of what they had to say and just get a bit of a feel and just see if this is, if I'm really going to do this. But I couldn't get through to anyone. So I called Osman's brother's wife, and she's a practicing Muslim, and she's just an amazing person and such a good role model. And I remember I called her and I just kind of said to her, like, you know, I think I want to take my Shahada. But what do you think? And we had a really long conversation about it. And I remember her just being so shocked because she'd obviously known me from when I was a bit of a Islamophobic. And to now then me calling up and going, I think I want to take my Shahada. Like, she was just like, really? Really? Are you sure? You ready for this? It was so funny. I was like, yeah, should I? She was like, no, I'm just like, this is amazing. Like, she was so happy. And we just talked out through everything, all the questions that I had, just surrounding the Shahada and things like that. And then by the end of that conversation, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. And then obviously the next day was Sunday, so I had to wait till like a weekday. And then the Monday I woke up and I wasn't thinking about it. I didn't wake up thinking, oh, today's the day. I woke up, it wasn't even in my mind that anything. I just woke up as per normal. I was dealing with the girls, you know, Osman was here. He was on the computer, like faffing about. I was sitting on the sofa and I had the youngest in my arms and I was just watching a bit of telly or something. And then something just was like, Shahada, you're going to do it today. And I just remember I just got up, I just walked out the room into the bedroom and I just called up Regent's Park Mosque. They answered on like the second ring, which is just like unheard of from our experiences because we had our nikah there, and trying to get in touch with them to arrange our nikah was just almost impossible. So we'd had a bit of like experience with calling them, and it was so funny. On the second ring, picked up, and you know, I said to the imam that picked up, I said, you know, I want to take my Shahada. And he was just over the moon for me. And he was like, yes, we're here all day. Come in. So I was like, yeah. And it just felt so right. It just felt like this is perfect. I came into the living room and I said to Osman, I was like, so we need to change the plans that we have today because I want to take my Shahada. And he was just so happy for me. We got ready within the hour. We were out the door within the hour, which is unheard of with 2 children. And we were on our way up to Regent's Park Mosque. We got there, and as it turns out, it was the same imam that did our nikah, and it just made it even more special than what it already was because we had that like relationship with him from our nikah, and he was so excited to see us. He remembered us, and he remembered me, and he couldn't believe it. Like, he was just over the moon. So yeah, it just made the day. It was awesome. And then, yeah, that's it for this video. I'm going to end it there. And then in part 3, I'm going to discuss, as I mentioned just before, I'm going to discuss the reactions of my family and my friends once I'd accepted Islam and taken my Shahada, and did that change? Did any of their opinions change? And I'll also discuss the difficulties I had, like with, did I start praying straight away, or kind of what happened with that? And what things did I implement straight away, and what things I haven't implemented straight away, or what I'm striving towards. So that will all be in part 3. So I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for your support. It's been absolutely overwhelming. All the comments, the suggestions, they've been really helpful, so please keep them coming. Don't forget to share this video if you think someone might benefit from it. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you soon.